Welcome to another episode of the Hustle Reports, guys. My name is Peter Helms.
And I'm Suki.
Today we have a very special guest. His name is David Carlson. He's going to talk all about steampunk, and also we're going to talk about how to get attention, right? We all love it. With all that and more on the Hustle Reports. All right, guys, welcome to the Hustle Reports. Today, we're going to talk about how to get that attention. I know a lot of you out there might be craving it. No, that's not what it's about. We're going to be talking about how to get attention in business, right? There's a lot of clutter out there. How do you get your brand in front of people when they have so much going on in their daily lives? We also have a very special guest. It's Steampunk's own David Carlson.
That's right. David comes to us from Manchester, Connecticut, and he's got a lot to tell us and you guys about driving attention to where you need it the most to your business, product, or service.
I want to draw some attention to that zuppa toscana that you made the other day.
Ah, really? You liked it that much?
Oh my gosh, this girl can cook, I'll tell you what.
Yep, it's one of my secret talents, actually. I haven't cooked in a while, so I just thought it would be a really great idea to start again because it's a new year, and why not bring something back that's been a part of my life for a really long time.
I'll tell you what, once I had that food, I just knew that I had found the most special cook ever.
Really?
Yeah, you cook really well.
Better than the Olive Garden.
I don't even want to say this, but because, Nana, I love you if you're out there watching this. I really, really do. And for years, I loved your zuppa toscana. But I tell you, you have to try hers. It's just a tad bit better.
Yeah, so I use all real ingredients, and I have a little secret flavoring that I put into the soup. It's called love.
Love?
Yeah, there's love in every bite.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a big SpongeBob fan, for you guys out there, you know what I'm talking about.
And there was fresh kale in it. There was some really good sausage. I don't know where you got the sausage. But
That's a secret. I'm not giving that away. So Nana, if you're listening, sorry.
She's actually Italian, and she moved down south. She snowbirded down there. Mm-hmm. And every time I go visit, I have to bring some fresh Italian pastries from Mazzicato's on Franklin Street in Hartford because they have some of the best. And they really miss it down there. They're Italians in the South, and there's not much of that going on.
Well, I grew up with a lot of Italian kids that I went to school with, and just being in their homes, I kind of just picked up on the different flavorings and what Italian food tastes like. So here I am, years later, cooking up a storm. Yeah. And it's pretty authentic, actually.
Yeah, it was really authentic. I was totally surprised. And I'll tell you what, it gave me that warm, fuzzy feeling, like a cold winter day, just some nice hot soup that you brought to the studio, and man, was it good.
Yeah.
Speaking of winter and all that, our guest stopped by your store midwinter this year.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait, last year.
It was last year, November 1st, and when I heard that David was coming on the show today, I went deep into my phone archives and found this video, which I took myself, of him and his steampunk friends caroling.
You've got to see this. I know you guys may have never even heard of steampunk, but you're in for a real surprise. So check out this video. They stopped by your store. They were Christmas caroling. Mm-hmm. Nobody does that. I feel like it's a lost art, but check this out.
Until we get some, we won't go until we get some. So show us some fear. We will.
So that was them caroling.
Yeah, it was such a good time. That's only a small snippet, but they sang a few songs, and I joined in a little bit. And just looking around, I wish in the video I had panned to the wall decal on my store. It says, "Fuck you." So it was just kind of
it's
a nice...
It's huge, too. It just says, "Fuck you" in huge letters. It's great.
So it was just this real surreal moment of steampunk carolers with this pop art decal with the "Fuck you" lady on the wall. Pretty awesome moment.
So if you guys don't know what steampunk is, it's like think H.G. Wells, think Charles Dickens. It's like this clash between the Victorian age and sci-fi. It's really cool. I'm not doing it any justice. David's gonna come on. He'll talk all about it.
Yeah, let's hear it from David himself.
Yeah, let's bring him on. Let's bring David on. So David, how are you doing
Hello.
today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Awesome. So good to see you again after so many months.
So good to see you as well.
Excellent. I know I was trying to explain steampunk. Could you tell us a little bit about you, your business, and what steampunk is?
Sure. I'll start off with who am I and my business. I'm David Carlson. I hail from Manchester, Connecticut, and I have a event planning group called Oddball Newt, and it's kind of a niche industry. I do steampunk events, photo shoots, and happenings. And I have a group that goes to my events called the Silk City Steampunk. Manchester is known for its silk. It's called Silk City. So I attached steampunk to it, made it be a local group that goes to the events that I do. Like I said, I do photo shoots, happenings, caroling. That was actually part of Halloween caroling. We weren't singing Christmas songs. We were singing Halloween songs.
Oh, okay.
That's why it offered fear instead of cheer.
That's great. So what is steampunk exactly? I remember I was first exposed to it through an event you put on at the Cheney Hall. I was just kind of sitting behind the desk because that's part of what I do for the community. I volunteer my time to sit in this hall so different venues can come together. And usually I'm just there on my computer, but all of a sudden I just saw all of these folks come in dressed from head to toe in something I'd never seen before. Tell me about it. What is steampunk?
Steampunk is, like what you said, the mixing of Victorian fashion or the Victorian aesthetic with aspects of sci-fi. Like you said, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, Charles Dickens, H.P. Lovecraft. It imagines a reality where if steam was still in power, or if steam was still the main driving energy source, and it takes place around the Victorian era of 1865 to 1910. We like to incorporate the visuals of airships, of going on safaris, being mad scientists, being people of luxury and recreation with tea parties and stuff like that. We dress up with top hats, goggles, walking canes. The ladies will do wear their bustles and other dresses and stuff like that. And oftentimes they do the bustle hustle.
What's the bustle hustle? I like it. So this is the hustle reports. You might have to teach me how to do the bustle hustle.
I'm ready for this.
Well, I won't embarrass myself right now doing it, but another time.
Okay. What is it though? Maybe we can find. Maybe we can. Pull it
I'm
up,
just
Ron?
kind of joking because the words rhyme.
I don't know if we can find it. Is it online?
Huh?
Is it online? Something we might be able to find, or what do you think?
No, I was just rhyming the two words together, hustle and bustle, basically parading in their dresses and stuff.
So it's open to interpretation.
That's
what that sounds like.
Steampunk is very much open to interpretation.
Right.
There's no set thing to be what steampunk is. It's up to you. But there is some foundation of wearing top hats and Victorian outfits.
Right. Well, this whole thing that you're describing is just so fascinating. From the time I met you a few years ago and just listening to you talk about it and the event group that you have, I just have to ask you, how did you get into this? Like, when did all this start?
Well, I wanted to create a Victorian Christmas card one year.
Okay.
And so I asked around my photographer friends. At that point, I only really had one photographer friend. And he said, yeah, I could do a Victorian Christmas card. I got all these backdrops, and like the ones he showed me weren't all that impressive. So I said, I'd really like to get into an actual Victorian mansion. He says, hold on. Then he gives me a call back, says, I have a photographer friend who whose family owns a Victorian mansion that's now a funeral parlor. So I said, "Ooh, can you set that up?" He said, "I can set that up." So I went and went with me and my family, and we did a Victorian Christmas card. But I love Doctor Who, as you can see with the TARDIS in the background. I wanted to incorporate some Whovian aspects to it, which, as it turns out, is kind of a steampunk aesthetic. And so my son told me, "Dad, this is all very steampunk." I said, "What is this? What word did you just say?" He said, "Steampunk." And so I began to research steampunk and realized it was everything that I've always been into since I was a wee little child. Doctor Who, H.G. Love, not H.G. H.G. Wells, um, Jules Verne, and Doctor Who. So I started really looking into it, and I found events. There wasn't really a Connecticut scene, but there was scenes in New York, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. So I went to this convention up in Rhode Island, TempleCon, and just fell in love with it. And it was like a 3-day event, which I thought was very long. And I only have the attention span for only so long. So I started looking around here. There was a annual event called the Brass Ring in Bristol, and I attended that. And I started thinking to myself, I could do this. I could make these events happen here in Manchester or around me. But I didn't want to do it like a 3-day event. I wanted to compact everything into like 8 hours, because I don't like waiting around for things. And that was kind of like the low part of those events, that there was so much stuff spread out over like 3 days that you had to wait hours in between. My events, you only have to wait for the band to get back on the stage, or a band to get on stage and set up and play, or have panels. So that's kind of like my model. Everything happens immediately.
Wow.
And so I've been doing it for 5 years now. My first steampunk event happened at the Warregan down the road.
Yes, I've heard about it, and till this day, people still talk about that event that you pulled off, bringing hundreds of people into downtown Norwich.
During a blizzard.
Yes.
Wow.
It was beautiful weather up until that day, beautiful weather after that day, but that day it blizzard. And the AccuWeather was saying it's going to snow until 1 o'clock, and then after that, the sun will come out and be good. So I was chanting that to everybody that I told. It'll be done at 1, and then the sun. And sure enough, at 1 o'clock, it stopped snowing. By 3 o'clock, the sun was out. By 5 o'clock is when the event started. The roads were plowed. Everything was perfect. People came from New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, all over Connecticut, Massachusetts. So it was a fairly big success.
It was a complete success.
What's that?
It was a complete success, because when I first came to Norwich, that's when I heard about the event. So I actually found out about you because of that event that you created.
Oh, well, yeah. Norwich is a very steampunk friendly town.
That's
in
good
fact,
to know.
The mayor during last year's the mayor of Norwich declared it Steampunk Week there, with the caroling, and then I had a reader con type thing at the NAC, the Norwich Arts Center, called the Book Fiend Readers Fest. So there was a lot of stuff going on. It brought in a lot of people again. And then this year I'm going to have the 6th annual steampunk ball, but I'm calling it this year, instead of Stupid Cupid, I'm calling it Stupid COVID.
Stupid
Steampunk.
COVID.
That's so
That's
perfect.
Great.
Well, since you kind of gave a little segue into the COVID thing, how has this affected you having events?
Well, I can't have big events, but I do have small get-togethers where it's mostly photo shoots and picnics. But that is great in a way to attract new members and new people to become aware of it, because if you're walking around town dressed up in steampunk, you're going to get some attention. And with that, you get new members, and builds and builds and builds.
It's a perfect example of what we plan to talk about on the Hustle Report today because, I mean, you just pointed out, if you walk through town and you're all dressed in garb, in the steampunk garb, you're bound to grab attention. And that's not easy to do because people tend to block out a lot of stuff going on around them. It's a very unique way to do marketing, especially if you really think about it. I mean, I know you just want to grab members and it's sort of like a passion of yours, but this is why these events are so successful because it's so unique, so different, memorable. I mean, here I am years later too, and every time I hear David Carlson, I automatically remember that experience I had at Cheney Hall.
Well, that's awesome. Awesome to hear.
Well, there's another event that I know you started planning. It was a little bit in the works, but I think COVID hit. And still to this day, people come up to me and they're like, what's going on with the meatball stroll? And what even is that all about? So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
That was a really fun event. We did it with the First Friday group.
Yeah.
With Jill Fritsch.
Yeah.
She was the one that kind of suggested it. She was an early champion of my Oddball Newt productions. So basically, I guess Norwich has some kind of history with meatballs. I'm not really entirely sure what that is about, but but they were very much excited to have all the stores or all the businesses that were involved offered meatballs to eat. And so we just kind of had we sang songs and walked around. Do you know what a Dalek is?
I don't. What's a Dalek?
It's a big robot. It looks like a salt and pepper shaker.
Okay.
We had a Dalek going around town with us. We were singing songs, going to stores, eating meatballs. We had hula hoopers. We had a hearse show up.
I remember the hearse when you guys were doing the photo shoot in the back of it. That was done at the event I was at.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah. Not too many people have access to a hearse, but I have access to 2 hearses now.
2 of them.
And you started your business from taking a photo in a funeral home.
What's that?
You started your business from taking a family photo in a funeral home.
That's true. I did. I never thought of the connection between the first photo and the hearses that I now incorporate.
That's cool. Amazing. So we also like to ask some questions to our guests to kind of just understand more. Why do you do this type of business? What is it really that drives you to do this?
I like creating something that hasn't been there before. There has never really been a steampunk presence in Manchester or really in Connecticut. Like I said, when I got involved, when I first started doing this, there wasn't really a Connecticut scene. So I had to create one. And now we have in my groups, we have 4,000 members.
Wow. Where can they find that? Is that on Facebook or something, or is that offline?
Mostly on Facebook. I do have a web page that I haven't really been too involved in, so it's got pictures from long ago. But Facebook is where I'm most active, on Oddball Newt, and then I have another page called Oddball Newt Production Presents, which is basically a page that's a calendar of the 12 months of steampunk that I do, a steampunk event for each month of the year. And then I have my Silk City Steampunk social group. That's the group that goes to all the events and stuff. And then I'm also have a new page called Fitzfire and the Beloved Son of Charles, which is now a novel that I'm writing, which I'm going to make a movie of.
Really? Man, you're such a talented guy, David. All the stuff you're doing. And we actually have a video queued up that we found on YouTube. If you don't mind us playing it, to my understanding, it's something that you created.
I produced it, yeah.
All right, let's check that out. Let's see what it looks like. Man, interesting stuff here.
I love it.
Right? We work with drones. There's this one scene where we're on the green, and then it kind of zooms away up into the air.
Yeah.
That's my favorite scene.
Okay. Yeah.
took her tweet. He told me several times that he didn't like my kind, 'cause I was a bit too steampunky. It seems that I was busy doing something mostly nebulous, but different than the day before. That's when I saw her, ooh, I saw her, she clanked in through the outdoor. She wore a raspberry beret with goggles she found in a second-hand store. Raspberry beret. If her oil was warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. Built like she was, she had the springs to ask me if I planned to do her any harm. So I put her in the gondola of my airship and we went flying over old man Tesla's farm. You see, now overcast days never turned me on, but Gordon, Cliff, and her, they just clicked. She wasn't wound tight, but I could tell by the way she loosed. She knew how to get her kicks. She wore a raspberry beret with goggles she found in a second-hand store. Raspberry beret. If her oil was warm, she wouldn't wear much more. Raspberry beret. I think I love her. Purple rain, purple rain. Sounds so cool when it hits the laboratory
That's
room.
awesome.
And the specimens wonder who you are.
Absinthe drowns out what the lightning sees.
And you feel like a steampunk star.
They say
David, this
Wow.
is amazing. Great job on this one.
Thanks. And that was in Better Spring Park in Manchester.
I saw that. Yeah, lots of man, you guys look like you're having fun.
Yeah, that drone shot too, huh?
Yeah.
How about that?
It was one of the hottest days of the year, and we were like sweating in all our wool and stuff.
Nice. Wow, that's awesome. If somebody wants to watch the full video, what do they look for on YouTube?
Professor Adam Smasher, and it's the Raspberry Beret.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the introduction also.
Yeah.
Kind
Yeah.
of look like
The
Star Wars.
Eternal Frontier, which is the band that did it,
Uh-huh.
are amazing dudes, very talented folks, and they've been early supporters of Oddball Newt from the get-go. I did a photo shoot like 6 years ago, and John, Professor Adam Smasher, he came to the photo shoot, and we kind of bonded right then and there, and so we knew we were going to do lots together. I figured it was just going to be photos. Now we do events. He plays, or he and the Baron play. It's the Professor Adam Smasher and Baron von Zippel.
Baron von Zippel. Man, there's just so much here. I really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing this stuff.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. But we also like to open it up for our guests, so it's not just us asking questions. Do you have any questions for us?
Well, I'm sure you've already covered this, but how did you get started?
Sure. So really this, what we're doing here, the podcast, I was doing a couple shows with some friends of mine. They were in their basement or in their garage doing their own shows. And they reached out to me because they knew I did marketing. So they were like, hey, we got this podcast thing going on. Before you know it, I was working with them to help produce it, bring in the right people around them. And during that process, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do a podcast. And initially it was just me, and I was like, I need a co-host. And News Rocky, who's another one of our shows, he actually kept talking about this girl, Suki. And I'm like, who is Suki? He's like, this girl from Canada. She's amazing. You have to meet her. She puts on all of these festivals, and I think you guys would be a good match. And so I said, all right, fine, let's go meet her. I walked into her store, and I don't know what her experience was, but as soon as I walked in, I was like, yep, that's my co-host right there. So what was your experience when I walked in on that?
Well, I knew who you were because for months Kevin had talked you up, and he was just telling me over and over, you've got to meet this guy, Peter. He's into marketing. He has these different companies, and you guys are very similar as far as business and building entrepreneurship culture in this area. And I've never met anyone like myself. So I just thought he was basically full of crap until Peter walked in, and immediately we just started talking about, I don't know, business. Affogato, right. I had an intern at the time, and we were in the middle of a meeting, as he really has an affinity for making these like Italian espresso ice cream drinks. So when Peter and Kevin walked in, all the attention was just diverted to, I guess, making podcasts and like this new thing that was happening in Norwich. So that's how we met, and we just hit it off, and here we are now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's how we got started. We spent maybe 2 or 3 hours that night just talking about all of the different ideas we had in common around entrepreneurship and developing culture and all of that stuff, economic development, all kinds of things we talked about. And by the end of that meeting, we're like, yep, we're going to do a podcast.
Right, because just in that initial conversation, which lasted more than 2.5 hours, we just came up with all sorts of great ideas. It was like a brainstorming session and just talking about the same things that both motivate us, like the reasons why we get out of bed every day. Very similar ambitions, very similar goals. And so we just decided, you know what, we're going to have content for like days, months, years, and we just need to all put all that energy into shows and give it back to the people and share it with the world.
That's awesome. I love hearing when about creatives getting together and meeting their tribe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. So as I'm like watching you speak about being a pioneer really into bringing culture of steampunkiness into southeastern Connecticut, or just Connecticut in general, your journey of how you attended the 3-day event, which led you to Bristol. I'm not sure what was going on in Bristol, but obviously like that wasn't really it. And you just had to, you know, go on a whole new course and roll up your sleeves and do what you're doing all on your own. And like, look at you now, 5 years later, like you have quite a following, and you did all of this because you have a passion for it. So yeah.
One thing that kind of disappointed me or inspired me to do what I'm doing is that I do an event every month. It's sometimes small, sometimes big, but it's an event every month. And if you missed that one event, like from in Bristol, you had to wait a whole year to go to it again. So I didn't like that. I said, I want to have something every month. So I said, oh, I'll create an event for every month. And I did.
Right. Oh, so David and I, we are similar in that sense, because when I first started with Global City Norwich, or even with my store, everyone was like focused on having these events once a year, like an annual thing. And I'm like, no, we got to have party time weekly, monthly, all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
exactly.
Definitely. That's what First Friday's pretty good for too. We have First Friday coming up actually tomorrow. So maybe, I don't know, it's a little short notice. Maybe you can attend, come down to downtown Norwich. If not, we'll see you next First Friday.
Right. What's your next event, David?
What's that?
What's your next event?
It's axe throwing in Manchester at the Stumpy's Hatchet House. And we're throwing axes and dressing up in steampunk. And that's what we're doing next. And then after that, we're going to do an art museum tour at the Athenaeum in Hartford, Wadsworth.
Nice.
I love the Wadsworth.
Yeah, great place.
Yeah, beautiful place. And then April 25th at Pie Hops, going to do the Stupid COVID Steampunk Ball.
Oh, I'm here for it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, David. I definitely look forward.
Thank you for this opportunity. And thank you for having me. It's great seeing both of you and talking with you. And I'm sure we'll be talking with each other more often.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
Have a nice one. Looking forward to tasting your soup.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I'll come visit you at your shop in Manchester. How about that?
All right, fantastic.
I'll bring you some.
All right.
All right, awesome. So, wow, that's just,
My gosh.
that's what it's about, right? So today's Hustle Report is about getting attention using something unique, something different.
Right.
This guy is totally unique.
He is. So I always knew he was something special, obviously, but I did not know, just how he started the whole thing and where he's at now. All the things that he's brought just to Norwich. I don't know what he's been doing like across the state. I've seen it on Facebook, but I'm not part of all those other communities.
Yeah.
His reach here in this area is just, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, he's literally bringing steampunk to
Yeah.
Connecticut. No joke.
Right. Well, actually, we could tribute his son to really defining what his dad's doing. So I think that's pretty cool for his son to pick up on all those little characteristics and put a name on it and say, hey, Dad, what you're doing is steampunk.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely got to give his son the credit. So big shout out to him for that. And man, they look like they had so much fun.
Right. Yeah, this is amazing.
So one of the things I want to talk about today is how to get attention in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is for not just the aspiring entrepreneur, but for the well-established, right? Somebody who's been in business a while and they're really looking to market their brand.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, on average, there's 5,000 marketing messages that people are exposed to on a daily basis.
So wait, how many?
5,000.
How is there 5,000?
Because everywhere you go, there's a marketing message like hustle juice. You walk down the street, you're seeing ads. You jump in the car, you're hearing ads. You pull out, and really, it's these right here. Think about how many notifications come through. Or if you just go onto social media, which you're watching this on now, you're exposed to all kinds of brand messages.
Right. I could see that. So even if you're standing in line at a grocery store and you just look around at all the people wearing all different types of clothing. I mean, you're going to see brand labels on hats, jackets, patches, watches, shoes, socks. Oh, face masks.
Face masks, absolutely.
Yeah, face masks are a walking advertisement.
They are.
I've seen everything and anything from pop stars, whatever, Madonna, to sport teams like the Patriots, to Wu-Tang Clan.
All kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
if you have a product or service and you're bringing that to the marketplace, and maybe you're bringing it the first time, maybe you've been doing it for a long time, but nonetheless, you're going to have to be faced with this reality that there's a ton of clutter and people just sort of block this out when they're just, bombarded and exposed to so many marketing messages.
That's true. Even when you use a toilet or a sink, you'll see on the handles or on the faucet the brand name of that appliance or whatever it is, equipment.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
And
Yeah.
advertisers have this thing called share of the mind, right? So what share of the mind is this goal that marketing departments are trying to reach when it comes to their products.
Mm-hmm.
And if I asked you out there, think of a toothpaste. Automatically, just because I said think of a toothpaste, a brand comes to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you may not know why that is, but it's because you've been exposed to that brand many times throughout your life. So now they have a share of your mind when it comes to that particular product. That is becoming more and more difficult to accomplish than ever before.
That's true. Yeah.
Because there's so many products, so many brands. So what we want to talk about today is some ways to grab people's attention with your marketing message. And the example you saw with David Carlson is just one. That's very unique.
Right. It seems like everyone's just fighting for attention at the end of the day, right? Isn't that what it is?
It's exactly what it is. And at the end of the day, you can't even talk about why your product or service is so special until you grab people's attention. Is the number one goal in business is to get people's attention first.
That's true. So I think today we're going to focus on 5 major things in order to grab attention, how to get attention using your value proposition. Sometimes the value proposition or the unique value proposition is called the unique selling point. So you'll find that it's interchangeable. There's the USP or the UVP.
So, for example, what that literally means in like layman's terms is that what makes you so much different than everybody else out there?
Right. We could use David as an example, right?
Right.
I mean, because he really stands out. What makes him different compared to somebody else who's planning an event?
Right.
Well, first of all, when he walks into a room or anywhere, really, when he steps out of his car, he steps out of his house, he's dressed from head to toe in a steampunk outfit. So right off the bat, his appearance alone makes him stand out, and it's an attention getter. I mean, if I was walking through the Walmart parking lot and I was just looking at all these people with their shopping carriages, and I see this guy in this bright yellow jacket with goggles and a top hat, I'm looking at him.
That's
I'm
right.
not. I don't care about the lady with her kid and you know, the dad with his dog food. I'm
So-
like, who is this guy?
One of the things you want to do is to get personal, right? Find something that's going to interest people. What's going to hook their interest, which, you know, this guy does pretty good, the whole aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
And then he starts talking about what steampunk is. And in that, it kind of brings you back to childhood for a lot of people. Like a lot of people remember the Charles Dickens books or the Jules Verne.
Oh,
or,
like nostalgic
it's
stuff.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
nostalgia. So it's very personal to people on like a deeper level. So one thing you want to do when you're coming up with a product is try to find ways that will grab people's attention in ways that will interest them. Not just what you think is great, right? But really think about the people you're trying to reach.
You know what people are interested in? Other people.
They are.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of the social media platforms are blowing up, because we just have this fascination as humans to watch what other people are doing. And it's kind of like this guilty pleasure.
I think it's because that's how we learn as human
Yeah.
beings,
Yeah.
right? We learn by others by watching and seeing and listening and all of that.
Yeah.
But I do have to say, when it comes to coming up with grabbing attention in a way that is unique, you also have to keep in mind that people listen to one radio station mainly.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you know
go
what
on.
this is.
Yeah, okay.
What's the radio station most people listen to?
The one in the car?
WIIFM. WIIFM. What's in it for me radio?
That's true.
So as you're grabbing attention, like there's a lot of different ways to
You've
grab
told me this before.
it. Yeah, we've talked about it.
Definitely.
For
Yes.
sure. So there's a lot of different ways to grab attention, but not all attention is good or going to lead to growing your product or growing your brand or your company. You have to consider the audience you're trying to reach. So keep that in mind. People listen to WIIFM.
Yeah, so whenever I'm listening to someone talk, I'm kind of like this. Even if I'm sitting up, right, like in my head, I'm like, what's in it for me? Like, what can I get out of this conversation? And if within like 8 seconds I'm not interested, I'm like, yeah, okay. Anyways, like I'll start listening when you have something valuable to say that I'm, can connect with.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, when I was in school as a kid, I was very disruptive.
Okay.
Right? I was very disruptive oftentimes because my mind just went in all different places. And I got bored with some of the material that was being taught. So that kind of brings us to our next sort of point I want to make, is that if you want to grab people's attention with your product or brand, you need to disrupt the market. You need to do things out of the ordinary, grab people's attention, be loud, be noisy, just go ahead and push the limits. Get really, really creative. There's a whole form of marketing called guerrilla marketing. Like, for example, let's say you're a restaurant and you want to promote a club night.
Okay.
A club night. This is
Yeah.
a very practical thing you could do. You could go into other restaurants, right? Get some little flyers printed up, just little ones, that promote your club night. Go into there and just hand them all out, quick. Get in there, 5 to 10 minutes, and get out. Because once it gets back to the owner, they might be a little upset that you're promoting. That's one way, right? Or you could dress up in steampunk and stand outside of the club as people are waiting to get in line and just hand everything out. You're going to have their attention.
Right. So I'm not sure when guerrilla marketing was coined, but that's something that as humans we've been doing since the beginning of time. All that stuff like hear ye, in the courtyard or in the medieval times or even before that. That's how people would get messages across the land
Yeah.
for generations. So I guess we've all been guerrilla marketers at some point in time in our lives, right?
100%. And on
Yeah.
social media is a great example. So let's say you're going to use social media. Don't just put out this boring cookie cutter content that's just like stock photography or everything. Create some like really unique videos. Like yell at the people right away, be like, hey, I need your attention. And then like take that video
Yeah.
and then go into your thing. It could be as simple as that. That's being disruptive.
Definitely visual communication works way better than a bunch of boring words that are just listed on this piece of paper. No one wants to see that or read that. That's work.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do more work. I'm trying to have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Or you could take you could create like a circle sticker of a pancake with eyes and a mouth. And out of the mouth it says, flip me over, because pancakes like to be flipped over.
Yeah.
Paste it on like campus poster boards or on stop signs or somewhere. And so like they have to actually flip it over. And
Have
when they
you
flip over the
tried
pancake,
this?
No, I just made it up.
Oh, I'm so going to do that. You know what I'm going to use it for? The hustle reports.
The hustle reports.
I'm going to make a pancake on a piece of paper, and it's going to say, just like you said, flip me over. And on the back side, it'll say, and watch the hustle reports every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m.
Boom, mind blown. That's called being disruptive.
Wow.
That's grabbing someone's attention in a very unique way. Because who's not? Like, let's say you put it on stop signs and you make it a magnet, right? You just make the center part of the magnet have the message in it on the back of it, so it still sticks. Like, you know, why on this stop sign? It's going to grab their attention because it says stop.
Yeah.
And they're...
What if you say, okay, what if there's a link and it says like free pancake party, but there isn't actually a pancake party? The link just takes you back to a message where it's like, watch the hustle reports every Tuesday and Thursday at 8. Is that bad?
No, why not? Like, you got to cut through the clutter. People's attention is spread so thin nowadays.
As long as when they click on that link and there's no actual information for the pancake party, I can just write, haha, just kidding. I just really wanted you to click on this link. Is that okay?
No, because you have to add value at the end of
Okay.
the day. This can go south.
Okay.
You don't want to really piss people off because if you do grab their attention, it should be worth it for them. So, remember
Well, I
people-
want them to watch the show.
Okay, that's why we always provide practical advice to you guys, and we don't just kind of pie in the sky talk about, lofty ideas. We want to give you some real useful information. So even when we're talking about these different points of how to grab attention, if you really get thinking about some of this stuff or use the tips that we're giving, you probably should see some growth in at the very least in the leads that come to your business.
Yeah, I think so. Everything that we've talked about, I've definitely put it to use over time through trial and error. And so this is just like the best of the 5 components of how to get attention.
Sure. So here's another one. If you want to stand out, be outstanding. What do I mean by that? What do you think that means?
Don't just stand back in a crowd and expect to get results. Like, really, you got to put yourself out there. Like, even if you're in a class, right? And if you want to get the attention of the teacher, don't sit in the back of the class, sit in the front. So every time, you're called upon to answer a question or something, you're right in the teacher's face. So also, this could go 2-way. So if you're a really good student and you need extra help, the teacher's already familiar with you and they could let, a few things slide if you're not doing so well on tests or whatever.
100%. That's a great way to put it.
It's true. That's how I got through school.
So I think you're outstanding, by the way.
Thanks.
And
Is it my outfit today?
it is. It's so
Yes.
unique. Look at this. I've never seen anybody wear anything like this before.
It's the best $7 I've ever spent.
$7.
$7 for the top and the bottom. There's crosses. There's Mary.
Wearing glasses.
Wearing
She's got,
sunglasses.
Yeah, she's got sunshades on. Maybe Gucci, maybe Tom Ford. I don't know.
Yep, she's in her little spring outfit. So
Yeah, so dope. So the last thing I want to talk about, and this is kind of piggybacking off of Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm going to unpack what he says a little bit. We're going to unpack what he says a little bit. He talks about day trading attention.
yeah,
What does day trading attention mean to you?
maybe when you trade attention to get something out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. People's attention is like, so in day trading in the stock market, right?
I know, it's like currency. So instead of
It is.
using money, okay, because you're using the stock market as like a symbolic example, right? So when you trade attention, you're not actually using like money or a type of currency. So just let's pretend that attention is the currency.
Yeah,
So if I'm going to give you attention, what am I going to get out of it?
that's right. That's what it's all about. That's what. Now, when you grab someone's attention, remember I said before, people listen to WIIFM, you have to give them value, right?
Okay.
And the economy is all based on value exchange.
Okay.
Right? And in a world where we're day trading attention, we're exchanging ideas and information, and that information should stick with the person, should have some substance to it. There's a whole book on this called The Attention Economy.
Really?
Yeah.
I should read that.
Yeah, everybody should read it. I didn't read the whole thing. I did like the brief over of it. I kind of got the thesis,
Okay.
but it's where we're at. Look, if you have a product, a service, a company, a brand, an idea, whatever it is, the first thing you need to really brainstorm about is what makes you so much different than the other ones who are already doing it. And then once you kind of have that, you need to wrap it in what's called content experiences. Right? It's not all about that offering. It's about the experience you give people through the content you deliver, offline or online. A perfect example is what she's doing. If you've ever been to her store, right? Yeah, she's got all this streetwear. It's, she's one of the only people who do it. That's her unique value proposition. At least she's one of the only in the area. However, the content experience that grabs the attention is the store itself. That's also wrapped inside of a co-working space. That's also wrapped inside of a community that's looking to revitalize and grow. It's those experiences around the fashion and streetwear that really make her value offering unique.
Yeah, that's true. So online, I'll post in the stories sometimes, like a t-shirt or whatever, or a hoodie. And like you could get t-shirts and hoodies anywhere you want. You could go to Walmart, you could go to, online, you could shop on StockX. But when people come into the store, they're getting more than just the value of like a piece of fabric with a hood on it, or that, you wear as a shirt. So they're getting like the music, the customer service, the experience, and kind of like this neighborhood gritty feel, but it's, there's like lights. So within the store that really bring out this ambiance or this vibe. And so everyone that has come in has agreed, or they've at least told me that this is more than just coming in here and buying like a piece of clothing. They're getting a lot of value for the dollar that they're spending. So yes, I will grab attention, but if they come in and they're just like, hey, your place is dirty, like it's all boring and shit, like no one talks to me, everyone treats me badly, I'm just gonna go somewhere else and spend my like $200.
Yeah, people want more than just the product you have to offer nowadays.
Yeah.
They want a whole experience with it, right? So like there's this restaurant I love to go to. It's a breakfast spot. And when I go in there, there's a yellow brick road that goes to the back of the restaurant with an art gallery.
That's
in there.
so cool.
Yeah, it's so dope.
I've never even been to anywhere like that. Only in my dreams,
It is like a dream.
if I'm hallucinating.
Yeah, it's just amazing. There's all kinds of art throughout the place. It's got a very unique feel to it. The food is great prices, all of that stuff. But the thing that makes it a whole experience, and why I don't really choose the place next door,
Okay.
which has just as good of food, has just as good prices, but they don't have the experience.
So you said this is a breakfast place?
It's a breakfast spot.
So right, like I could make my own damn breakfast, right? I don't need to get someone to make it for me. Like eggs are relatively cheap, and like 2 pieces of toast. But if there's a yellow brick road and some art in the back, hey.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to wrap up with today. Follow the yellow brick road, i.e., figure out how to get attention and set your brand apart from everybody else's by creating content experiences.
Right.
So that's all we have for today. You have any closing remarks for Hustle Nation?
I do. If you want to stand out, be outstanding.
100%. So we appreciate you out there, Hustle Nation. Big shout out to all of you. Thank you for tuning in. Please give our Facebook page a thumbs up, a like, and a follow. Check us out on YouTube. If you'd like to just get the audio experience, make sure you go on to Spotify, Apple iTunes, Pandora, and look us up at The Hustle Reports.
And share.
Absolutely. So we appreciate you. Bye for now. The best is yet to come, my friends.
See you next time.